Oh no, it's on.
Yeah, good to
How are
go.
you?
Right. We begin. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم ينفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزد علما يكريم رب العالمين. اللهم نسألك علما نافعا ورزقا واسعا وشفاء لكل داء آمين رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Those who are here and those who are online, alhamdulillah, I see a lot of you are online today. Inshallah, everyone is doing well. We're coming to our last our last class here on our series on Bani Isra'il, which today is not necessarily a talk about Bani Isra'il at all, but more about just the history of Palestine and after the Jews were dispersed in the year of 70 CE from the Roman Empire. And so we're just going to go over a little bit as a more bonus material. And then what we'll also do at the end, if we have some time, I'm going to do a quick review. I'll do a little game. I don't know if you guys know Cahoots, but you guys will get on your phone, and then you guys can answer some questions. I didn't really get to complete the review, and then we'll have some snacks. There's some snacks in the cafeteria, as I like to do that usually when I finish my series. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll get to it. There's a lot of information for today. So let's get it going, inshallah ta'ala. So last week we talked about why did Christians support Israel. We talked about the concept of dispensationalism. So it's a long word, a lot of syllables. But what that really means is the way that the Christians look at the Bible and understanding that the Jews, as being the promised people, they have their own way of salvation, and the Christians have their own way of salvation. So that's the way how they deal with them still being promised while the Christians are also guided at the same time. So that's also a weird dichotomy. But that's how the way that they play it out, or also be very hard for them to understand how can they be favored and then be guided at the same time. We talk about the Antichrist and the verse in the Bible that says that he will take his seat in the house of God. And that is one of the only kind of proofs that's kind of vaguely understanding that there needs to be a temple at the end of the times. And the Antichrist will come, and then Jesus, peace upon him, will come. So we spoke about that's the only thing that they have. That's why one of the reasons why they're supporting the building of the temple or Israel in general. We talked about the Christian Zionist groups. We talked about non-Zionist Jews, the Hadith about the Dajjal and the ending of the Jewish rule in Palestine at the end of times, and some other Hadith about Bani Isra'il, what they used to do to try to, carve around the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we said today we're going to go over two main things. One is the entering of Islam into the lands of Palestine for the very first time ever, and that's during the time of Omar radiallahu as being the second Khalifa, and we'll go over that, and then we'll briefly go over Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahimahullah, and how he conquered the Crusaders, and what he did from that. There's a lot of history in that. There's a lot of things that go into that. That itself could be a whole course. But we're going to basically going over the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam here. During 610 is when the Prophet became a prophet, the age of 40. And at that time, there were two main empires that were ruling at that time. You have the Byzantine Empire, what you call the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was originally twofold. Here's Rome over here, right? You see, it's not colored in because that was called the Western Roman Empire, and then there was the Eastern Roman Empire. It was split. At one time, it was all together, and so the Western side fell, and all it was the Eastern side that was left over. So that was called the Roman Empire. Allah subhanahu called it Rum in the Quran, and also that it's also called the Byzantine Empire because the word Byzantine or Byzantim was actually the name of Istanbul. That's anciently that's what it was called. Before it was called Constantinople, and then became Istanbul.
Was it two different churches though?
Yes, so you have the Orthodox, like Orthodox, and then they switch from there. That's true.
The Ottoman. What was the Ottoman Empire?
That's going to come later on. We'll talk about them not really much at all today, but we'll allude to them. So I'll show you when they come in. They're super later, much later, if you will. Okay. So and then you had the Sassanid Empire or the Persian Empire to the east, named under this individual called Sansad, because he was like a priest during their time, and their dynasty ended up ruling. So you call it the Persian Empire, probably easier to pronounce. But so they're the two main empires going on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you read Surah Rum, chapter number 30 in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about how they were fighting each other. And one defeated the other, and then how the Muslims and how the Romans will be able to be conquered in a certain amount of years. So Allah actually predicts this in chapter number 30 in the Quran. So one thing that's good about for the Muslims is these two empires are going against each other. This constant warfare, trying to grab their land. And so it's always nice when the Muslims are chilling here in the south, not really being bothered, watching the action where they could come in and get into Palestine while these guys are busy fighting each other. So the Roman Empire was governed by the lands of Palestine ever since 63 CE, right? So we're talking about 610. So we're talking about almost, let's say 650 years. They've been ruling the lands of Palestine, the Roman Empire. Okay. Heraclius was the Roman Empire at that time. There's a famous hadith that I wanted to bring up, but like I said, nothing to really do about Bani Isra'il. But there's a hadith where Heraclius was ruling, and he asked somebody from the Quraysh who was in the town that was in Syria that was doing trade, and he asked him about a prophet in their land, and who is he, and what does he do, and what's the signs of him. And Heraclius almost looked like he started believing in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? From the hadith, you could tell. And to the point where his court was kind of saying, "What are you doing? Are you believing in him?" And they almost like were thinking that he was going to become Muslim, right? But so he knew very much of a prophet that was in the lands, and he kind of feared him to an extent. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ during his life never conquered Palestine. Never was able to do that at all. He died in the year 633, 632, when he organized an army to go, Osama bin Zayd to go and attack Rome. Okay, but then he ended up passing away, and the army never left.
About like the night journey, was that like a physical thing, or was it like a?
True, I wasn't conquering though, but I was visiting. So yeah, and even before he was a prophet, it was said that he would go to the lands here on a merchant, trade routes before he was a prophet. So, but the night journey was something he went there in the physical realm. But once again, it was more a visit to lead the prayer there and where Masjid Aqsa was at, and then of course, get the commandment of the 5 daily prayers.
Not like capacity to conquer.
No. It wasn't passing to conquer at all. No. But it was definitely a preluding that this area is something that is special and blessed, if you will.
There's nothing Medina and Mecca. There's no empire.
Yeah. So the Muslims are here. So the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina after 13 years of being a prophet in Mecca. He went to Medina, and then he was sending an army to go fight up here, but then he passed away. The army never left. They did fight the Romans in the battle called Tabuk, which is more like right here. The Prophet ﷺ went there, but the Romans never showed up. So it ended up being a victory for the Muslims, right? There was another battle called Mu'tah, where the Prophet did not go in that battle, but the Romans defeated the Muslims in that battle. They're actually killing a lot of Muslims there. They had a large army, 200,000 soldiers. 200,000 soldiers is a lot of people, right? And but the Prophet was here.
So were they allies with the Sasanian Empire?
No, they were not at all. They had no connection with either. The Prophet did send a letter to the leader of the Persians saying, "Embrace Islam." And that was saying, like, I'm the next prophet. I'm telling you to call you to Islam. And he ripped up the paper and said, like,
he died. His son killed him.
Yeah, exactly. They never ripped in the paper, and then Allah said, "May his empire be ripped up." And we'll see the Muslims are going to take over that empire later on.
So there are basically 3 different empires fighting.
Yes. Great question you're bringing up. The thing is, though, the Byzantine Empire and the Sassanid Empire, or the Romans and the Persians, they really care about the Arabs. They're quite unequipped military. They're in a barren desert land. There's nothing to kind of conquer them. They don't have no fertile land. Why are you going to take over them? They're like small people, When you have the Romans trying to attack you, that's all you're focusing on. You don't really care about what's going on here too much. They had the eye on it. The Roman Empire kind of knew that they were coming up, but it was still like, this is, these are, small, small fish in the pond. The big ones are the Persian Empire. So yes, so there are these three dynamics that are here. Yeah, they're smaller, yes. So even because they did fight the Romans, and the Romans did kill some of the Muslims, so there's already some tension that was already there. So the Prophet knew that the Romans were sending an army down to their borders, and so the Prophet met them. He sent an army that met them in the Battle of Mu'tah, and they ended up killing them. So that kind of started. So it was ongoing. It wasn't just like, let's just go and fight them for no reason.
Well, that gets into how the whole empire was created. Because I study a lot about Andalusia, Spain, and Sicily.
Yeah.
My family's from Sicily, so I study it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. There's a lot of that in there. Yeah. We'll get to some of that when it comes to the Ottomans and so forth a little bit. Yeah. So that's what's kind of going on here. This doesn't work. So the Prophet passes away. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, is the next Khalifa. He comes in and he has this great general. Well, he's always been there, Khalid ibn Walid. Arguably, even with non-Muslims, he's probably the greatest military general in the world that has seen. Okay, some non-Muslims know about him. Okay, and so he had some commanders that was underneath him. Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, radiallahu anhu. Amr ibn As, radiallahu anhu. He's the one that's going to open up Egypt. And Shurabil and other people, if you will, all one of his commanders. So Abu Ubaidah. Ubaidah. It's a hard name. You'll get to it.
Like that's the Shia say.
No. Ahl al-Bayt is different.
Okay.
Ubaidah is from the word abd, which means servant. Ubaid means small servant of Allah, or small servant. No, that's good. It's good. No problem. Yeah. The siege began in 634. Okay, so that's around maybe 1 year after the Prophet passed away. Okay, lasted for 30 days. And they were able to take over the this is Damascus. Sorry. So I want to backtrack before we get into Jerusalem. This is called the Siege of Damascus. Okay, Damascus was a big capital for them, for the Romans. Okay, so they led siege for 30 days. Emperor Heraclius was able to support the city of Damascus at that time because he was busy with fighting the Persians. So the city was supply routes. Khalid ibn Walid cut the supply routes. They couldn't get any reinforcements in there, and so basically they gave up. They gave up that city there. Okay, look once again. The residents of Damascus were granted security for their lives, property, their churches, for just paying a thing called jizya. In Islam, Muslims, we pay a thing called zakat, right? Which is like a tax, if you will. Helps the Muslim empire, helps those who are needy, it runs the country. If you're a non-Muslim in a Muslim country, and yes, you could be a non-Muslim in a Muslim country, you just pay another thing called jizya, right? Because zakat is a pillar of Islam. They're not Muslims, so how can you follow a pillar of Islam? So something called jizya that they would pay. Usually it's less than what the Muslims will pay. But sometimes it was more at times. So obviously, that's because they're living in the Muslim land, they're getting protection from the Muslim army. So you have to pay something. You can't live there free. It makes sense, right? So you're paying something for your protection, and the roads, the streets, they don't have sewers and trash and all that. But anyhow, you understand there's, accommodations in the land. Look here, it's a siege. They don't destroy the whole city. They don't burn down the churches, right? They let them pray. They let them keep their churches. They can practice their religion. This is Islam, okay? Right? These are Sahaba that are coming and the commanding of the Prophet ﷺ, right? But now you're under Muslim rule. Okay. That was a big thing, the siege of Damascus there. The next major battle, which leads to the conquering of the Muslims in Palestine, is the Battle of Yarmouk, which is probably one of the biggest battles. This Yarmouk is a place that is, I'll give you the map first and foremost, which is up here. It's kind of this up here. It's called the Sea of Galilee, which is up here. And over here is over here. There's the Sea of Galilee right there. Over here where Yarmouk is in, was present day Jordan, if you will. I'm not too sure if people could see it at home. Okay. Yarmouk is a little picture of it here. A lot of plateaus and ravines. Okay, so they were fighting on top of the plateaus. Okay, you can see what you could do with somebody if you're on they're on the plateau. Just tip them over. Okay, they fall down. Okay, so they were fighting on top of this plateau here, which is the ravines of Yarmouk. You can still go there today and see it. Okay, named Yarmouk because next to the Yarmouk River, which is still there today, right? Muslims, of course, were led by Khalid ibn Walid. It's a good leader to have, right? Same amount of generals that were there. Muslims had 20 to 40,000 soldiers. The Byzantines had 80 to 150,000 soldiers. Okay, that's a large army. Okay, very, very large army that came out. Okay, the battle lasted for 6 days in the month of August, 636. So this is 2 years after the siege of Damascus. Okay, if you're following along there. Okay, on the 6th day, Khalid ibn Walid makes a defensive attack where he corners them. This is what this picture is here, up here. He corners them up into the my laser pointer up into the ravine here, and ends up pushing them over the ravine. They got cornered over here, and they couldn't go anywhere. So mentioned like 50,000 or so soldiers just fell down because they had nowhere to go, right? And so you pushed them off the cliff, and the others he just killed. Obviously they lost in the battle there, right? This is the Roman Empire. This is the Muslim army. You guys remember how big the Roman Empire map was before, okay? This is the Roman Empire getting defeated, by a small Muslim army, 20 to 40,000 soldiers. That's super significant, okay? Right, that's happening right there. Okay. After the battle, the Emperor Heraclius leaves Syria. He said, I'm out of here. Because you know what? He has bigger fish to cook from the Persians. And he says, you know what? I need to focus on there. And basically, when he did that, he says, I'm giving up this land. He said, you're a great land, and no, you'll be a great land to the enemies. That's what he said. So basically, the Muslims, you guys take it. Basically, he said Palestine, and for him, I mean, Palestine is still significant as being a Christian, right? But nonetheless, he leaves, and he left the people in Palestine, the Christians are in Palestine, who are running Jerusalem, kind of by themselves. So it was easy taking from the Muslims to go over to Palestine and kind of just take it from them. Wasn't much of a fighting at all. Okay, so Battle of Yarmouk kind of led to the conquest of Jerusalem. Okay, I don't know why that's right in the middle there, but anyhow. So that happened during the time Abu Bakr radiallahu anh passes away. The next Khalifa is Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh. Okay, he goes and they call Khalid ibn Walid, who is now he's fighting. Remember in this battle over here, right? The Battle of Yarmouk. He defeats the Romans and then goes over to the Persian Empire and then defeats the Persians. Okay, and the Muslims conquer the Persian Empire. That itself is another 10-week class of how did he do that. And then he's not tired. He comes back. Okay, he comes back. Like I said, he's this amazing individual just to talk about. He comes back to help Abu Ubaidah. He says, come back, we're going to take over Palestine. I need you over here. Khalid ibn Walid does something, which is a bit controversial. A lot of people have allowed to talk about this. Khalid ibn Walid is a general in the battle, in the army, but he tells them, he says, I'm going to demote you down. I'm putting Abu Ubaidah in front of you. Why did he do that for? Because people started putting their iman into Khalid ibn Walid and not necessarily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if Khalid is on your team, most likely you're going to win. Okay. It's like having like Kobe and, LeBron on your team. Probably your iman is not like on, Allah's going to give us victories on these individuals, if you will. Not a good example, but you guys understand. Yeah. Good example. So he does that. That brings a little shift. Abu Ubaidah is very smart. He said, on paper, I'm the military general, but I'm not dumb. Khalid, what are we going to do? You run the show, but you know what? Whatever you tell me, I'm going to tell the army. And I would probably have done the same thing. You probably would have done the same thing. Okay. Abu Ubaidah is also one of the 10 companions that are promised Jannah in the hadith of the Prophet. So he's not like a nobody, right? He's something that's special in the seerah also, right? So the governor at that time, I have no idea why this big map thing is right there. Hold on. It's bothering me now. I'm gonna have to move it in a second. Move it down here. Bear with me. All right. So the Byzantine governor at that time is named Sephorius. I practiced like 5 times at home. I still messed it up. Sephorius, kind of like sounds like erroneous, but anyway, Sephorius.
This is from you.
Sophronius, yeah, right. He was a bishop and the governor at that time. So, he's a little bit more on the religious side and so forth, nonetheless, right? So he knows what's coming. He has a dream that, you know what, a Muslim leader is going to come and take over this land. So he's more on the spiritual aspect of it. And so he doesn't put up a fight. He's all, I kind of knew this was going to happen. But he does something interesting. He says that only the Muslim Khalifa could come here and take the keys to the city. He said, Abu Ubaidah, I know you're the military general, and Khalid ibn Walid is there and so forth. I'm not going to hand over this key. I'm going to hand it over until your leader in Medina, Umar ibn Khattab, comes over here and I'll hand it to him. I don't want to hand it just to you guys. They're like, what the? Like, just give it to us. Like, and they knew that Sophronius didn't know who Umar was, right? Never seen him before. So they said, here he is. He's right here. He's our leader. Like, just come and give it to him. We're like, we're not going to call him over. He's like, no. He's a different person. I'm like, well, they tried. So they told Umar in Medina, can you come? That they'll give you the keys here to Palestine, to Jerusalem, but they only want to give it in your hands as being our Khalifa, as our leader, as our president, as our emir, if you will. Okay. So there wasn't much fighting at all. It was just negotiations. That we'll do it as long as you guys don't kill us. Let us be. Don't demolish our churches. Blah 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 and so forth. Right. And so Khalid ibn Walid, a very amazing story. Okay, he leaves Medina. Imagine this today: the president, the leader of the Muslims, right, leaves Medina with one servant with him, not like bodyguards of like 10,000. He takes one servant with him and one camel. I would at least took 2 camels and one for 2 people. And he told his servant, you ride one time on the camel and then you get off and I'll ride. And he had one, thobe on, that's what he had. And it said it had 17 different patches on it, holes that had different patches on it that were sewn of different color. He wasn't about the dunya, if you understand what I mean by that. He really wasn't about this world, Versace, Calvin Klein. He wasn't really about that. He was all, this is the Muslims' money. I'm not going to waste my money on clothing. And, and wasting it. This is a responsibility. Those leaders you can't find, they're gone. It's over. One of these days, hopefully, inshallah, they come back, maybe at the end of the times. But we don't have those leaders anymore. Okay. It's in the Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries, unfortunately. Okay. Imagine this, you're watching the Muslim leader with one person in the desert, walking with one camel all the way to Jerusalem. Some army could come and just kill him, and that's it. No, that's done. But that's how Umar was, right? When he got into the city, Abu Ubaidah saw him, and it's mentioned that he stepped in some mud, and so like mud got on his thobe and stuff. Okay, and this is like your leader. So like he told Umar, like we're about to go in the city and kind of want to stage him, like we're about to go in. Why don't you like put a helmet on? Or put some armor on so that you walk in, like this is the Muslim. Because all the Christians everyone's going to watch you. And he said something very beautiful to Abu Ubaidah. He's like, we are a people who Allah gave honor through Islam. And if we seek honor through anything else, He will humiliate us. You want to get honor through your clothing, through your watch, through your shoes, from your cars, you're going to get debased. But your honor came through Islam because you guys are Muslim. That's why you walk the way you walk, because you're Muslim. Abu Ubaidah is like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to teach him anything else, right? And he got a lesson there. Yes, you could dress good. You should comb your hair, brush your teeth, right? You look good. But Umar was a different person. That's why, these people subhanAllah, they're just, Allah made them different, right? So he walks in, right? And what happened is that Sophronius comes in and gives the key to the servant. Because Umar said, told the servant that it's your time to ride the camel. He told Umar, we're about to going to Jerusalem, Quds, right? You ride the camel. He's all, no, it's your turn. So the servant was riding the camel, and so the servant came to the servant and said, here's the keys. Umar. The servant said, I'm not Umar. This is Umar right here. This is the one that's walking, right? And then gave him the keys there, subhanAllah. Okay. Umar made a pact with the Christians, or ruling the Romans at that time, where they were allowed to practice their religion, right, which has always been in the Muslim lands, right? And they could worship there, they had the protection, they're safeguarded from the Muslims. They didn't have to run anywhere else or afraid that they're going to come and kill them. They could set up their own courts, right, and run their own Christian law, whatever it was, if they had a law at all. But they paid the jizya. Okay, right, and that's one thing. That's one. So it's called the Pact of Umar that he made with the people there. So Phronius once again goes and gives him a tour of Palestine, of Jerusalem. He comes to the holy church or the sepulcher. I want another name I practiced 5 times at home and still again. Sepulcher. So sepulcher means like a tomb. This is one of the holiest sites for the Christians.
Don't they have 2 keys for that?
They still up today, they do.
The
Muslims do. So this church is supposedly where Jesus, peace upon him, rose from the tomb. Okay, so they have a tomb that's there and some other things and stuff like that. And so this is like one of the holiest place for the Christians. Okay, and so he goes here, and one thing he tells them, like they have supposedly like the cross that Jesus was nailed to. They have it there. So Phronius was very scared. He's like, just don't touch our cross. Like this is very important to us. Because what happened is when the Persians came, they stole their cross. And so they were kind of like, they didn't want to lose their cross again. Okay, whatever.
real gold.
What, on top of there?
I'll actually.
I don't know if I would assume it might be. I don't think it would have been like dye or anything. Allahu Alam, I'm not.
It doesn't look tarnished at all.
I think they probably clean it over.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, go back to this. So he goes in there. He told Omar, why don't you pray in this church? Like pray as an honor to him. Like these people are a little bit different, right? Omar radiallahu anh says, I do not want to pray here because if I do, they will make it a masjid. They'll say, Omar, pray in this and they'll take this place over. So Omar stepped off and he prayed like a couple feet away. Guess what they did at that spot? They made it a masjid, right? So it's interesting right here. If you look here, this is where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is. And this is the Masjid of Omar. That's what they call the Masjid, which is it's like 10 feet or 30 feet away from the area. But look what Omar did. He didn't want to pray in the church because he knew that was going to happen. Right? This is this is how the Muslims dealt with those of the non-Muslims at that time. Okay. But what he did is that he wanted to go and find out where Masjid al-Aqsa was. And what the Romans did, because they don't care too much about Masjid al-Aqsa, right? They don't have much significance to that. Maybe they should, but anyhow. It was a trash dump that they made on this area that's here, okay? They used to throw all their trash in there and all their other, waste there, if you will, if you want to just put it easily, okay? As a sign to the Jews that we took your land and also we're desecrating it. Look at that. So Omar Raylan came to this land. Obviously, there was no golden dome there. It was just a trash dump. He orders the Muslims to clean that area there. So he starts cleaning himself along with the Muslims. And then he starts to pray there. And he told that Bilal Raylan, who was there, who was the first muaddin, the worst caller to the prayer of the Muslims. And he hadn't seen Bilal in a very long time because they were all in different lands. So Bilal radiallahu anhu, he said, "Ya Bilal, why don't you make the adhan?" Bilal said, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, I don't make the adhan anymore. I only made the adhan for him. So it was too emotional for him. So he didn't do that. He said, Bilal, you know how much the Prophet ﷺ would have smiled if you saw you make the adhan. So that touched the heart of Bilal. Bilal said, okay, one last time. So he goes and starts to make the adhan. All the Sahaba, Umar radiallahu anhu, starts crying. Umar radiallahu falls to the ground. He didn't really got the keys of Palestine was one thing. He didn't really get super emotional, but this he got emotional when Bilal made that adhan. Then they prayed in this area there, and he ordered it to make a small masjid in that land, on what they call Temple Mount, what we call Masjid Aqsa, if you will.
It's still alive at this time.
No, he passed away. So he died in 633. So this is 5 years after. Yeah. So the leader is Umar radiallahu an, Umar ibn Khattab. The RA means radiallahu an, means may Allah be pleased with him, because there's a verse in the Quran where Allah talks about the companions and he says Allah is pleased with them. So we just copy that. That's why. So any of the companions, you put RA, means radiallahu an, may Allah be pleased with him. you will. Wasn't the one that makes the adhan. Mu'adhin. I know it's not spelled really nice. So the adhan is a call to prayer. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So someone who makes the adhan is called a mu'adhin. So if you will, yeah. And a lot of terms. I'm glad you're asking because believe me, other people probably have the same question. They're like, I don't want to ask a simple question. So it's good that you're asking it.
How do you say Mu'adhin?
It's not even close to how it's spelled. Mu'adhin. Yeah, you have to stick your tongue out a little bit from the word that or the letter.
Yeah.
Mu'adhin.
Yeah.
In Arabic, your ears are called udhun. So mu'adhin is the one that makes someone hear from their ears. Mu'adhin, adhan. Yes. So the Prophet, so Umar Raylan goes to the place where the Prophet led the prayer in the night journey, we just mentioned earlier, and leads the prayer in that area there, and that's where the masjid was built, if you will. Okay. So that's a small masjid right here. You look at that. That's called Masjid Qibli. But this whole complex is called Masjid Aqsa. Okay. Oh, but that's where now they built that masjid there. I believe it's there. There's not, I think there's a couple other places where he might have prayed. Allahu Alam. I'm not too sure. I'm not. You will.
One question. What's the difference between Dome of the Rock? What's the
Good, great question. So the Dome of the Rock, that gold building that you've seen there, that's where we believe the Prophet, peace be upon him, he left, go up to the skies from that area there.
is Dome of the Rock different from Al-Aqsa?
Yeah, so Al-Aqsa is a whole complex.
Okay, the whole thing.
Yes, and that's a one point in Masjid Aqsa. Yeah, yeah. The whole thing we believe is the masjid, right? Even though there's a small little masjid here, if you will. But that's where the Prophet went up and then went up to the heavens or the skies, I should say, and they got the commandment to pray 5 times a day. So it's very significant for the Muslims in that area there. Yeah, it gets most of the attention because of the gold dome. Everyone's like, "Oh, Masjid Aqsa," but actually the whole complex is called Masjid Aqsa. The Dome of the Rock. Oh, sorry. What was your question? Sorry. Masjid Aqsa. Yeah, Aqsa means far. It goes far from Mecca. At least at that time, it was far from Mecca. Okay. And some of you are new. May Allah bless you and your Shahada. I heard your Shahada on Friday. Very good. May Allah bless you guys and reward you guys and make you a great asset to the Muslim community. I know this is like, whoa, what's going on today? I had a lot of new terms, but don't worry, you'll be teaching us pretty soon, inshallah ta'ala. You had a question? Or?
Pray in the Dome of the Rock or only in the masjid?
In the masjid itself, yeah. I'm not too sure if there's places to pray inside there. There might be. Allahu Alam.
Yeah, I went inside.
Oh, you went there?
Yeah, I picked the one much.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess you could pray in there also. Yeah. I'm sorry. I not myself have not been there. But the main masjid's over here. Yeah. All right. So sorry, go ahead. Dome of Rock you can't pray there. It's not the main masjid though. But people pray in there though, right? Inside there, yeah. Yeah. As the Prophet said, he said he made the whole earth here for us to pray on. So you could pray here, like anywhere, right? So people start, praying there. But the main place today where they actually make the 5 daily prayers are in this building over here, right? But you can pray over there. You can pray in this area. People during Ramadan, people line up all the way to this whole complex because they can't fit in the whole building. So they make lines all the way to the back. The Christians do not pray there. No. Anyone could visit it. The Jews have this thing called the Western Wall where they're not allowed to go inside because of cause tension. The Western Wall, I believe it's on the opposite side, on this side over there. I don't have a picture of that today. Why? No, I don't. I showed it before, yeah. So they believe that that was one of the last standing walls from when the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in 70 CE. That was like the last wall that was remained, if you will. I don't know how true that is, but anyhow. Okay. You're welcome. Questions, guys? Good questions. So we just talked about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So that church there, I'm going to tell you where that's Jesus, peace be upon him, was supposedly, rose from the tomb. Even today, when Omar was given the keys there, today there is a Muslim family that has the keys and they open it up every morning for the Christians. to pray in there. Because they got the key, Omar got the key to it, because Muslims came in 637. So even up to today, there's still a Muslim family that opens that up and closes it for them, right? That up to date. So that's kind of interesting to notice.
So just, and I don't know if we're skipping forward here or not, but in modern day, is this whole area under the occupation right now? Or
So the Dome of the Rock area with the Masjid Aqsa area, like the Muslims are allowed to get it. It's not supposed to be under the authority of some like Jordan Council in Jordan that runs authority here, but you'll find soldiers all around it.
okay.
So they have certain requirements, like younger individuals cannot go pray there, only older people, and they change it because they don't want young people to go there because they feel like, I don't know.
And then what about like, I guess, the city to the, I don't know if that's the west, but to the left side there?
I'm not too sure where the border is, but it's really close to this area there. It's like fine line, like right next to it. Yeah. So I think part of Jerusalem is occupied and part of it's not. Yeah. And there's like Christian quarters and the Jewish quarters and different stuff like this that they have there. That I'm not an expert on, unfortunately. I'll have to research that.
It's very complicated.
Yeah, oh yeah, they carved it up pretty much. All right. So that's the first time Islam enters Jerusalem. It's a 637. They will lose it, getting back, losing and getting back multiple times until the modern day time, if you will. And I'll kind of go over that a little bit right now. Okay, so the Muslims have it in 637. The next time they will lose it to the Crusaders later on. And actually, I don't know what year that was when they did lose it. But we're going to zoom to 787. Okay, so we're talking about a jump of maybe 500 years, if you will. Okay. Some of you maybe saw the movie Kingdom of Heaven. I'm not promoting it, but maybe you guys saw it. So this depicts when Salahuddin Ayyubi, rahimahullah, and his army came and fought the Crusaders in Palestine, in Jerusalem. There was a war that was behind that called the Battle of Hattin. And once again, if I would talk about that battle, it just take up a lot of time. Also, it's really good to know though. What led to the defeating the Crusader army and leading Salahuddin Ayyubi and his army to go into the lands of Palestine and lay siege to. Remember back in the day, I always mention this. Every city was like had a big gate around it. Like Garden Grove would have it, Westminster would have it, Anaheim would have one, right? Because you don't want anyone coming. You close up your walls, and that's how you protect yourself, right? So this is kind of the walls of Jerusalem here, and so the armies will bring up these big towers where they'll have a little door that opens up, and their soldiers will go across, if you will, and they're battering rams, and they have catapults and so forth. So the Muslims laid siege. Salahuddin Ayyubi laid siege to the Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, in September 20th to October 2nd, maybe 14 days, if you will, 2 weeks, in 1187. Okay, and they pounded the walls with cannons, or catapults, and these other battering rams, to finally that the Crusader army finally said, we're going to surrender the city, because they knew that they're about to get taken over and make negotiations with Salahuddin. Okay, and so Balian is the main general in Jerusalem at that time. Makes a pact to make a treaty with Salahuddin that we will surrender the city under terms that basically don't kill us, don't demolish our churches, don't do this and doing that. And so Salahuddin says, you know what, everyone's allowed to leave if they pay a ransom. You can't just get away free. It has to be some kind of something, right? So 10 dinars for a man, 5 for a woman, and 1 for a child. People paid that, and they were allowed to leave, no problem. And even to the point that Salahuddin was an amazing ruler, where he said, if you didn't have the money, then go ahead. You just still let people leave. Okay, just this little, military ruler doing that today. I mean, look what's going on in Gaza today. Like, subhanAllah, and it just it's not there anymore. Okay, they're supposed to depicting him signing a sign with Salahuddin and the Muslim army coming in and retaking Jerusalem for another time now. That will lead for them taking over Jerusalem to the third Crusaders to come in between 1189 and 1192. Okay, so then we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 years later, another Crusaders come. There's multiple crusades that happen over time. And the Muslims were able to, they'll defeat them every time, but they lost it would retake Jerusalem in the modern times. Okay, they will lose it to in 1229, which is, what is that now? Like 50 years, maybe 40 years. They will lose it to another group of crusaders. This was a sixth crusade. Okay, man, that's a lot, right? And they won't regain it again until 1244, and that's when the Ottoman Empire came. Okay, so that's when the Ottomans came and they took Jerusalem in 1244. We're in what today? We're like what, 2025? So maybe 800 years has been under Muslim rule till modern times, to the creation of Israel in 1948.
So these crusaders, are they like European?
Yeah, they're all Christians that come from England and other places that came down and believed that this is what, they called it Holy War themselves. And they believed this land was significant to them. If you ever read about the Crusaders, and they killed other Christians too. Like, they didn't really care. You had to be along their lines of thinking, and they would kill women, children. If you look and see when they took over the lands of Jerusalem, how much people they killed. They didn't really care if you're a woman or a child or anyone, a fighter or non-fighter. Okay, it's really gruesome. Which I always said that, like when I was on college campus, the main Christian group was called the Crusaders for Christ. I said, you guys understand what you got? I mean, if we called ourselves Al Qaeda or something like that, you guys would probably not like us, or the jihadists of Cal Poly Pomona, right? But you guys are legally allowed to call yourself the Crusaders for Christ, and you guys even know who the Crusaders were. I don't think you guys would have want to call you that, but they're allowed to do it, and they have their organization, and there's a lot of, I don't know if they understand their history.
They have the Knights Templar, right?
Well, they're doing worse.
The Knights Templar actually changed their name. They are called the Knights of Columbus.
Oh, okay.
That's what they are now.
Mm.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to go into that. I was trying to go down that rabbit hole. I'm like, I will not finish the series today. It'll be another 4 or 5 weeks. But it is some really gruesome history, and it's good. But it's good that we know our stuff.
Just a quick, Assalamu alaikum.
That's okay.
Yeah, just wanted to say, like, Shahid Ali conquered Jerusalem. That was 150 years, obviously, after, the Crusaders came. So it's like, I mean, it shows the supper even Muslims had. I mean, I think it obviously the occupation has been going on for over 7 decades.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, how much longer are we gonna have to wait? I mean, the thing we should do is focus on ourselves and try to prepare the next generation. Leader will come about.
Right. The Prophet did say there always will be a ta'ifa, a group in the lands of Palestine. We continue to fight until the day of resurrection, right? So as Muslim, we don't just lay down like, hey, take our land. It's fine. I don't think anyone should do that, honestly. Whether you're Native Americans or you are Palestinians, that's something that's a basic human need. Of course, if you understand the army is going to take you down and you want to walk away, that's a personal decision someone can make. But as Muslims, that they have a right to do that, and the Prophet also mentioned that there will always be a group that does that. Last slide I have here is the loss of Jerusalem led to the third. Do we do this one already? Yeah, I think this is the same slide, isn't it? No, it's not. Okay. The loss of Jerusalem led to the third Crusaders crusade of the Christians in 1189 to 1192. Jerusalem remained in the hands of Muslims until the Sixth Crusade in 1229. Muslims were allowed to control Masjid al-Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock. So even the Crusaders came there, they let them control the Masjid al-Aqsa, which was interesting. Okay, so that's not really for them. That's not something that Jesus worshipped at, or they have the other places where he was at that they really cared about. In 1244, that's when the Muslims would take over Jerusalem, ending the control of the Crusaders forever. So 1244, that's it. There's no more crusades after that. 1577, the Ottoman Empire comes in. 1517 is when the Muslim Ottomans come in and they take rule of Palestine over the Muslims, which is like it's a change of Muslim rule, and that's where we're all today until the modern day of Israel in 1948. Okay, so there's a lot of information. Hopefully you guys benefited. History has a lot of years, a lot of names, but like I said, it's important that we know, especially what's going on today, what happened in that land, where we're at, and understand the significance of this struggle that's been going on for a very long time. It's not new, but we lost all the grand victory to our brothers and sisters there. What I'm going to do, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to do a quick quiz, like a review, if you will. I was going to do it in a fun way. Have you guys done Kahoots? Have you guys been done Kahoots before? So we're gonna do a Kahoots, and you have to need your phone, and you're gonna need go to kahoot.com or kahoot.it. I'll get up right here in a bit right here. So I only have like 10 questions. It wasn't too much other. So it's loading. Bismillah. All right. So if you go to kahoot.it, they'll hopefully online could see that. And then you have to put in that big number and you'll be able to join. And just use your real names, inshallah. Don't put your street names or, your names, what your homies call you. Just call it this your this.
Don't put up your zip code or whatever.
No. I don't want your IG handles or anything like that, or just who you are, inshallah. We got Johan already. You're able to Amir Ismail. Ismail, that's how you spell your name, Ismail?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's the first time I've seen it spelled like that. Okay, great. Salim. You have to go to that website up here. So just go here to kahoots.it and then it'll ask for the game pin.
Says choose what, account type or whatever.
I haven't heard of it. Last time I heard of Kahoot was like 10
10 years old?
No, 10 years ago.
I don't think they had this 10 years ago.
No.
Maybe that was something else.
Like 10 years ago.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah, because I was in high school. when-
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I only found out like 2 years ago.
I graduated high school.
If I wasn't involved in a youth group, I would never know about this thing. But the kids are.
Yeah.
All right. Were you able to get in? Okay. You are where? Okay, cool. Anyone else still struggling?
Yeah, I'll make it more.
Here, one more time online there.
Thank you.
All right, I think we'd have everyone hopefully those guys are online. You're able to join. This is just for kicks, honestly. Bismillah. So we're gonna go, inshallah ta'ala. It's this is for fun. Don't worry if you don't get a high score. Don't worry. Your days of GPAs and stuff is over. And if you took the class, then with me, then you might know these answers. Otherwise, it might seem super hard. But anyhow, all right, Bismillah. So the first question is, where did the term Jews originate from? It's one of like our first weeks we talked about this. So the first answer, so you pick the color. One of the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam, or Jacob, or Yahutha, after Benjamin or Binyamin, another name for Yusuf or Joseph, Hebrew word that means Israel. Very good. Yes, it was named after only 5 people. You only have 20 seconds. Sorry. So good. Everyone got it. That Lisa was there that answered it. Yeah. So one of the 12 sons of Jacob was Yahutha. And so that tribe, each one was a tribe, was left over. So that's where they got the name Jews stayed, if you will. All right. Salim. Very good, Salim. MashaAllah. MashaAllah.
That was quick.
I think it's 10 seconds or 20. I'm not too sure. Who ended the Persian rule over Palestine? Oh, you have 20 seconds. There you go. Greeks, Romans, Ottomans, NATO. Please don't select NATO. That's a hard question. It's a very hard question. Someone named Alexander the Great. Okay. He was Greek and from Macedonia. Right. So yeah, so it was only one person got it. Okay, very good. That's a hard question. That was probably the hardest ones on there. Okay. No one got it. Yeah, very good. Question number 3. How long were Bani Isra'il enslaved by Pharaoh or Pharaoh? How long were the children of Israel enslaved by Pharaoh? 100 years, 1,000 years, 210 to 430 years, 750 to 850 years.
Like all those memories from history class.
Yeah, this was our second class. 3 seconds, 1 second, go. So yes, it was 210 to 4. They debate if it was 210, some say 430. This is all biblical references. Islam, we don't have a year for this. So, but anyhow, yeah. So this it's supposed to be a review, so hopefully that helps you. Whoa, Amir jumped up. Salim, you went down fast, man. Like a sinking boat. Here we go. Question number 4. What did Bani Israel worship when Musa alayhi salam left to receive the Torah? When he got the Torah, the children of Israel started worshiping something. A little bit easier here. The god of Baal, a golden calf, Samiri, are the priests among them, or no gods at all? 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, the golden calf. Very good, very good. Right. We all know that's biblical and Quranic that they did that. All right. Okay, Amir's on top there. Mashallah, mashallah. Where's your dad at? Oh, John, brother John. You got to help your dad out a little bit. You got to do a study session. Here you go. Number 5. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise above Bani Israel before they accepted the covenant? They told him, here's the covenant, accept it. Then Allah says in the Quran, he raised something. A mountain, a river, a rock, or animals. Something over their head. That's, I mean, it's also mentioned in the Quran there. 1 second. A mountain. So Rafa Tur, Allah said it took a mountain and literally floats in the air above their head. I know it sounds strange, but that's when then they finally said, yes, we'll accept the covenant. We will listen now. Right. Good. Amir, you're on fire. Question number 6. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send from the sky for Bani Isra'il? So while they were wandering in the desert, they got something. Water and turkey meat, fruits and milk, dates and milk, manna and salwa. 5, 4. Okay, manna and salwa. I mean, obviously, I think that was the only thing that was Arabic on the. So you could probably, the rest was kind of. It's hard to come up with fake answers, honestly, when you make these quizzes. So Allah said manna and salwa, and then some said, what is manna and salwa? Salwa, where they said quail meat, and manna was like this honey or this kind of grain that was sent down. There's different opinions on it, if you will.
I remember that from the Bible.
Yeah, it's also mentioned in the Bible. Yes, so like free food from the sky that was sent down to them. All right. Question number 7. Why were Bani Israel commanded to slaughter a cow? So Allah says in chapter number 2 in the Quran that they were commanded to slaughter a cow. A punishment for worshiping the calf, to find the murderer of a person who was killed, for food for their people, a ritual sacrifice for their sins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, number 4, right? So remember I said that it's not mentioned in the Quran, but I kind of went over this in class, that someone kills someone else. So Musa alayhi salam said, well, find a calf and has a certain description, and once you slaughter it, hit the dead person with it, and he came back alive and said, that guy, he killed me, and then that person died after that. Very strange, but nonetheless, it's mentioned there. Oh, Amir didn't even get points now. Oh, there's your dad. Allah. Your father and son dueling it out. Like LeBron and Bronny. Who was appointed as king for them to enter the lands of Canaan? So when they're going into the lands of Palestine, Allah said that they asked for a king. So who was that king that appointed from? Talut, Jalut, Salut, Marut. I know, I had to rhyme all Talut, which is Saul in English. Yeah. Yeah. Jalut is Goliath in English. Salud is just a name. Like, I think when you salute somebody or somebody when they sneeze, you say salute or something like that. And then Marut is one of the angels that were sent to Babylon that was teaching the people magic, which is something there. All right. Oh, okay. Number 9. Who conquered the north kingdom of Israel? Remember that? We talked about after the time of Solomon and Dawood alayhi salam, the kingdom was broken up into a north and south. So was it the Syrians, the Babylonians, the Romans, or the Greeks? So there's a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. So who attacked the northern kingdom? The Assyrians. Very good, right? Tigith Pileser or Sargon was one of the kings out there. And remember, they took them and they spread them into the land, and then they were disappeared. They're called the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Good job. Oh, all right. Ismail coming up. Right. All right. Come on. The penultimate question. Who conquered the southern kingdom of Judah? Okay, so the Syrians conquered the north. Was it the Romans, the Greeks, the Seljuks, or the Babylonians? So this is called the kingdom of Judah there, and where Jerusalem was there. So this is the conquering of the first temple for them. Very good, the Babylonians, right? Ibn Khanizar, right? Or Ibn Khanazar or Ibn Congressor, there's different names for it. He was in there and Ibn Khanizar, he destroyed their temple and destroyed the people and enslaved them. It's also a Bible story, very true. All right, Ismail, dethroning. Okay, last question, here we go. Let's see who the champion is. Bismillah. Question number 11. Who let the Jews come back into Jerusalem after the Babylonia were defeated? So after Babylonia, Ibn Khanizar, he defeated the Jews. He took the Jews into Babylonia, but then Babylonia was defeated by a group. And who was the one that let the Jews go back into Jerusalem for free, pretty much? Cyrus, the Persian king. Remember, he said, you guys can go back in Jerusalem. I'm not going to harm you. I'm going to give you money to build back your temple.
There's a city in Israel named after.
I know. No, I wouldn't. No. Signs of more misguidance. All right, let's see who our winners are. Doesn't matter, but it's fun to do it. Amir, going down to number 3. Johan, or his dad, is number 2, and Ismail came up, I think.
So.
Allah Akbar. MashaAllah. You're a bunny rabbit. Very good, MashaAllah. Let me just, I like taking a picture of this, so I can go for my own records. Okay, alhamdulillah. Everyone's a winner. It comes down to it, guys. Don't worry. You guys are all special. Don't worry. There's no losers.
What's the next class gonna be on?
I don't know. So I'm gonna take maybe a 2-week off, and so we'll start back the first Sunday in December, inshallah ta'ala.
Okay.
I'm still deciding on what I would do. Yeah, but anyhow, it's been a great time with all of you here. Hope you guys learned, more importantly, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts this from us. There is snacks and I think samosas and stuff in the back in the cafeteria that I asked them like to do a little food thing after I finish my courses. So inshallah, please participate in that. And if some of you guys want the PowerPoint, let me know. You can email me. I'm going to start PDFing all of them. I know somebody asked me to print it out and make a booklet for them. I'll go ahead and do that if you want me to. So let me know, inshallah ta'ala. At the end, we'll make dua. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafur, Anta salam wa minka salam, tabrakta ya dhul jalali ikram. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Ghafur. We ask you for forgive us for our wrongdoings. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, enter us into your Jannah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you to accept this class that we have done, put in our scale of hasanat and good deeds on Yawm al-Qiyamah. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask you to free the lands of Palestine from their oppressors. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give the people back their homes, their family members more than they had before. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give victory to our brothers and sisters all throughout the world that are suffering. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bless this group of brothers and sisters that are here in this class. O Allah, forgive us for our wrongdoings. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make our affairs easy for us. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless you guys once again. You guys have some food in the back in the cafeteria.